Before we dive into this episode, I just want to let you know if you want to get access to episodes before anybody else, head on over to patreon.com/concerts that made us. And as a bonus, you'll get access to videos of some of the episodes and a host of other benefits. We've also teamed up with Band Builder Academy to offer you 10% off their membership. Details of both can be found in the show notes below.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, Concerts That Made Us. Interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts, concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Rex.
And I'm Zak. We're with Uncured.
And this is Concerts That Made Us.
You're not alone in hell, I'm sticking by you, right beside you. You're not alone right now, so let's break out. You've been through hell, and I know it hurts. Yeah, I can tell that the pain is real, so let me
Zak and Rex, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thank you so much for having us, Brian. Very happy to be here.
It's great to have you. I'm looking forward to diving into your music now and getting some insights. So we opened the show with Let's Break Out. It's off your upcoming EP, My Design. Would you like to tell us a bit about the track?
Yeah, Let's Break Out is the first song off our upcoming EP, My Design. And we wanted to lead with this one because I think it's a pretty bold statement and, a good indication of what's to come for the rest of the EP. That being said, this is definitely one of the catchier, more commercial sounding songs, so it makes sense to release first. But, for the fans of darker things, we got a lot of songs coming that have a much more dark energy and more of an edgy vibe as well. So I'm very excited for everybody to be listening to the track, and I can't wait to put out the rest of them.
Yeah, it's that you're right. It's very catchy, and it's real kind of, without even noticing, you're kind of bobbing your head along. How do you guys feel about, making a really catchy song as opposed to the darker stuff?
So we've always been a fan of catchy choruses, and whether it's that active rock metal genre with a catchy chorus, that's something we've liked since we were young. But when we started off making music, it does almost require more music writing knowledge, more music theory, and it's not something you could just do first try. So it took us a few years to get here and develop as songwriters. But now that we're able to do it, it's music that we like to listen to and play. So it's that whole process, but we're really stoked that we can make our favorite kind of music.
And I guess, a different way to think about that is, I have said this once or twice before, and I believe it. It is harder to make a high quality pop song than it is to make a high quality progressive song. And I know that initially that sounds a little bit counterintuitive,
Yeah.
But you have such a limited amount of things that you can do in a pop song, whereas you have an infinite number of things you can do in a progressive metal song, for example, right? So you're way more constrained. So to make something that I think is truly high quality as far as the way it fits together, the lyrics, chord progressions, changes, all that stuff feels very limited. So it takes a higher level of skill to execute that well, as opposed to something progressive where, you can throw on a pedal and carry a whole section with one thing alone.
Yeah, that's very good now. That's something I've never really thought of, because your instant thought is, oh, pop music is way easier to create. Just press a few buttons on a computer, come up with some sort of catchy rhyme, and there you go. But yeah, it does. It makes sense.
And I guess one other thing on that point, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I do think a lot of people dismiss pop music usually because of the artist that's releasing it. But 99.9% of the time, that's not the person writing the song. It's being written by somebody who's written, thousands of songs. And they've been writing songs for these top artists for years and years and years. So I think that it's an easy thing to dismiss. If Justin Bieber releases a song, you go, oh, it's Justin Bieber, whatever. But it's not written by him. It's written by, by brilliant musicians.
True, actually. Yeah. Isn't there there's some publishing house in London, I think, and they've written 90% of the number one pop songs over the last 10, 15 years.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to that guy.
yeah, exactly. I'd like to see his bank account. Must be pretty big. And you guys have a pretty cool music video as well. Would you like to tell us a bit about it? What was the process like making it?
Yeah, so this was an idea that we'd been kicking around for a while. And I was, I guess, one of the larger proponents of this idea because I like kind of cross-genre things, basically just anything that's cross-genre. I think it's awesome. And I've always been, always wanted to see more of a visual component added into rock and metal. So I think the most obvious visual component that you add to music is usually dance. But that's been, relegated strictly to pop, hip hop, rap. And, since this song is definitely an active rock song with hints of metal, but also hints of pop, I thought this would be the perfect one to, finally implement this idea that I've been wanting to do for a long time. So we worked with a dance school in New Jersey. And I guess you can talk a little bit about the shoot day.
Yeah, we had, we went to a place called the Capitol Theater in New York. And we had a full dance troupe of 8 people with their their coaches, makeup artists. We had our full band and our film crew, and it was quite something new that we've done as a band before. It was really fantastic to see a choreographed dance to our music and having it all filmed. We spent hours there. And it's also important, I think, to have dance with music because it helps make the song more memorable when there's also a choreographed dance just for it. So it's another way. You do want it to be catchy, but also you remember it more when you see something with it.
There's the 3 types of learning, right? So you have visual learner, auditory learner, and what's the last one?
Doing stuff?
The doing stuff learner.
No, there's looking at stuff, hearing stuff, and then writing stuff.
I know it's is what it is. But I don't remember the name. But the point is,
we should look that up.
You know, for songs are purely just audio. So if you have a music video, you have a huge opportunity to captivate somebody in a different way. And a lot of the times music videos aren't in rhythm. You know, like you have your performance sections, but then if you have like story sections, they don't line up. So I think that this was a pretty cool way to just stimulate the brain, you know, twice as hard to the same song.
So you're telling us we can expect like thousands of people trying to emulate the dance moves on TikTok?
No, we didn't say that, but that'd be awesome.
That would be fantastic. Definitely a long-term thing, but we're just starting off with dance matching the song, and we're going to go from there.
And you know, that being said, this song and video don't really have a harder aesthetic, but we just saw the latest cut of the Heaviest Songs music video, and it is brutal. So
yes.
You know, I think that it's really awesome that we at this point get to walk both lines. So we want to make a song that's kind of like active rock pushing pop, or we want to make a song that's, you know, aggressive metal pushing even heavier. We have the ability to do that. So I'm pretty happy that everything is lined up, you know, how it has.
Yeah. So we do have 2 more official music videos to release for this release. And we're not actually sure of the order of it yet. One is more of a ballad than the other one is a very heavy, brutal video that Rex was talking about. So whichever one of those is next, we do, whether it's the softer one or the heavy one, we just want people to know that we still have a variety of songs because we don't want every song to sound the same.
And I guess moreover on that front, I think there's such a wide variety of, you know, human emotion that everybody feels. So it's a little unusual to me how some bands will just like pick one specific sound, like mood, storytelling, energy, like everything. They just pick one specific thing and they go with it. And in some ways that does help you kind of kickstart faster, but it puts a much lower ceiling on what you're able to really accomplish, in my opinion. So since we do have a pretty wide variety of things, in the early years, it hasn't necessarily helped us, but I do feel pretty strongly, and I know that Zach does as well, that basically us just, you know, letting the artistry dictate what we make will in turn pay us larger dividends.
And, you know, I was dying to ask, when you're kind of, you know, not so much genre hopping, but, you know, you're kind of on the fence between genres. You can, as you said, you can touch on pop, heavier stuff, rock. What's it like getting your music out there to new listeners and, you know, gaining new fans?
So that, like anything, is a double-edged sword, right? So we were, you know, for the most part, heavier as we were coming up. But, you know, like I said, that's just because we didn't have the musical ability to really successfully make active rock songs, which are essentially pop songs dressed up as rock and metal, right? I mean, listen to any of your favorite new metalcore bands. Those are pop songs, but they have riffs, a couple of screams, you know, some 808 boom in the breakdown. Like, but you know, you remove those things, you strip it all the way back. You could change the production, maybe change the lyrics a little bit, and you got a pop song. So I think it all just comes down to how you dress things up, and a good song will be a good song in any genre, and that's something that actually we've worked with a variety of people over the years. Even though, you know, we produced the album, we always learn from everybody we work with, like whether we like the person or not, whether whether we end up using any like material we write with them or something like that. It doesn't matter because every experience is a learning experience, and that one's really stuck with me. Somebody said a good song will be a good song in any genre.
I feel like there's going to be listeners out there now saying they should prove it and pick like a Britney Spears song or something and dress it up as a rock song and see how it comes out.
Oh, I'm totally down for that idea.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
I mean, we did not quite what you're saying, but we do have a cover of One Step Closer by Linkin Park, which is probably one of the most iconic rock songs of all time. So yeah, I mean, and we did that one pretty true to the original because that song is so iconic, and obviously Chester is, in my opinion, the greatest rock vocalist ever. So definitely wanted to do that one justice as it was originally intended.
Yeah. At this stage, I usually like to delve into my guests' personal history when it comes to music. So it'll actually be quite easy now because you're brothers. You'll probably have very similar experiences, but can you remember your earliest musical memory?
Musical memory. You have a better memory than me.
Well, I do remember when I was maybe, 6, 7, or 8 years old. I was listening to, I believe, FM radio, and I heard In Flames on it for the first time. The song was Embody the Invisible, and it starts off with a sick harmonized guitar lead. And that was the first time I probably heard rock metal. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And I still remember that to this day.
Do you really? You remember that actual moment?
Yeah, I had the little silver radio, and it was angled like a little ski jump even. It was whoosh, the little radio.
I can kind of see it in my head.
Okay, yeah.
My earliest musical memory.
You don't remember what you had for lunch?
No, it's also just a blur. So that was a good answer. I'm just going to keep Zach's answer.
Okay. And did you guys grow up in a very musical household? Do you get your love for music from your parents?
Yeah. So our dad was a pretty big fan of progressive music. So he would play things on a pretty wide spectrum. So we had America, the band. He used to play them all the time, and then he would also play Opeth and Mastodon a lot. So, I mean, and everything in between. So there was a pretty wide variety of things that we were exposed to from a young age. So essentially, we didn't really grow up listening to the top 40 hits. We were kind of listening to deeper cuts of progressive music because that's just what we were exposed to. When you're 11, you're not digging into trying to find new bands. You just want to go play outside. I don't know. That's what I was when I was. But yeah, so I mean, we were just exposed to those songs and those genres from a pretty early age, and it definitely left a long print on our writing as well, because all of our first releases were so progressive, and I'm glad that we went through that avenue, because now having done an EP and 2 full albums of kind of more progressive music, we just have a deeper understanding of that genre, while at the same time simultaneously studying the top 40.
Yeah. And what was the first time when you guys kind of really said, I want to be a musician, I'm going to really make a good go at this?
I think when I was in 7th grade, I sort of realized that that school wasn't really for me. And it wasn't like I was too dumb for school or anything. It was more,
too smart for school.
Yeah, I was too smart for school. It was more like I could just tell that there was nothing else in the entire world that I was passionate about. So once I kind of came to that conclusion, music is the only thing I'm passionate about, I felt I needed to pursue that as what I do for the rest of my life. And I think Zach was into the idea for sure.
And what was the first steps? Was it buying a musician? Was it buying an instrument, or did you go the formal route of maybe studying it in school?
So we got like the Fender Stratocaster starter pack for like $200 back when we were like 10 and 12. Comes with an amp, a guitar, a cable, a tuner, pretty much all the things you need to get started. And we, like any young kids, like, would pick it up, would quit for a little bit, would try again. We had some lessons here and there, nothing really stuck. And it was like that for a few years until
this was pretty young.
I think it was until we picked it up again on our own and then started like writing songs together.
Yeah, so I mean, we like right when we first had our first musical instruments, like which was as I said, the Fender starter pack. We were really young. I mean, I might have even been single digits in age, and then it wasn't really really long. And then it wasn't until like I think I was around 13, you were like 15, that we kind of started to really get into it. And I would consider us self-taught because all of the lessons that we originally had, it didn't last or leave an imprint or anything. But I would say that once we just really dove into it, started reading books on like music theory and stuff, that's when you're really dedicated.
Yeah. Before we dive into your concert experiences, then, growing up now, what was your local music scene like?
Local music scene. We played in our schools like jazz band and stuff, and there's a video of me doing something I wasn't supposed to because they had like this traditional jazz band. I was supposed to play like a blues solo, but I was like a young teenager, so I just turned the amp to super distortion. I did something terrible. like it was really bad. We do have a video of it. Yeah, it was an absolute abomination of a solo. But I mean, I don't regret it whatsoever because, like, energetically, that's where I was at. So.
I remember the night before you were like playing and you were like, "This works for the solo, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, you got it. Go for it."
Yeah, but the thing is, he knew it was a trash solo, but I appreciated that he was like, "Yeah."
Well, I mean, at the time, I was probably thinking, "Wow, that's pretty good."
I don't even think it was in the right key or anything. We have to watch back.
I remember it's like do 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 do.
But I mean, so as far as our like personal music scene, when we were young, we were all just about like we were playing sports and stuff like that. But once we committed, we kind of committed full time, and soon after when I was 16 and Zach was 18, we got an offer to tour with a band called Catatonia. So we obviously took that tour, dropped out of high school, and we've been touring professionally ever since for over 5 years.
And as a concert goer, then, concerts you've attended, what concerts do you think have made you?
Well, we went to a bunch of Opeth and Dream Theater concerts back when we were younger, and those are like now one of the most. Like Opeth used to be one of like a huge death metal band, but also progressive metal. So we got a lot of influences from them, whether they would have they do their heavy songs and they'd have an acoustic on stage and all that variety. As same thing with Dream Theater, but like that's the other end, more like super technical, clean, and precise. And as well as our love for guitar solos we got from John Petrucci. And seeing like, I know we saw Dream Theater once where they had like TV screens up or something, and it was like I don't know where it was, but it was somewhere pretty big. And like they'd have all the close-ups on the guitar solos, even though we were far away.
On the screen. Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome. Yeah. And what's funny is since that was, I think, one of my earliest concerts, I thought like everybody did that. I thought everybody had like a TV screen or it was like close-ups of a fretboard, and I was like, no, nobody else does that. But in retrospect, that's really cool. And ideally, one day, if we get big enough, we'll get
that's right.
Get those TV screens, get some close-ups.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Is it true that Dream Theater, like their concerts are like about 6 hours long? That they're extremely long.
I mean, if it was back then, we definitely wouldn't have stayed the whole time because we were young. Well, like maybe 2 hours, but there wasn't like opening bands, so it could have been a couple hours.
I think it was like 2 hours, maybe 2 hours 15 minutes. Because I know that we have that Dream Theater DVD, which was like 2 hours 15 minutes. Yeah, and we've also seen. We went to see Black Veil Brides, which was awesome because we're just big Black Veil Brides. And I guess those are kind of the ones that jump out to me the most.
Definitely.
Ah, pretty cool. Some good shows there. And you guys, you've performed 300 shows across 14 countries. As a band, as a young band, how do you get to the stage where you can, travel overseas and play shows?
Well, we've been doing this for over 5 years professionally, as I've said, and we were just lucky enough that we could keep stringing this batch of shows into this batch of shows. So I mean, yeah, it's just an honor and a privilege to get to play so many shows, because it is truly our favorite thing to do. Like nothing else really compares. So yes, I love tracking vocals. I love working in the studio. Well, it has its ups and downs. I enjoy rehearsing, everything like that, but just absolutely nothing compares to being on tour, being on stage,
Right.
and getting to do it with Zach and company.
There we go.
And you've shared the stage with some pretty big names as well. What do you learn when you're playing with bands on that level?
Well, we do always try to pick up something we learn from one band each tour and figure out how we could improve ourselves and how we're set for the next tour. Whether it's like on one of our earliest tours, we used to be using like amps and cabs, and it took up so much space and it was such a mess. And then we one of the guitarists in the headlining band showed us like about Axe effects and digital guitars and things like that. So we've always
Devil Driver. Yeah, nice.
we've always tried to implement whether it's like something from the headliner, whether it's like a gear recommendation or microphones, or even things like what they do in their physical performance or like their samples and intro tracks. We always just try to find something to slightly improve our live show.
Yeah, it's like we talked about before. Regardless of your personal opinion, there is always something to be learned. So we try to keep that mentality, and there's no egos in this band. I mean, there is in a healthy way, but there's no like there's no like unhealthy egos like that would prevent us from continuing on that search of like constantly improving.
Yeah. And do you find that the bigger bands are always open to, sharing stuff and just giving you tips and hints to improve?
It depends, but for the most part, a lot of the bands are pretty forthcoming and sharing in like their knowledge and stuff. And I have noticed that sometimes it's like the bigger bands are actually the ones that are more inclined to do that. Same way, like if you go to the gym, there's like a huge guy there. He's usually not going to be a jerk. He's going to be like he's going to be available to give you a spot or whatever like that. It's like it's just kind of a mentality where if you're, I think, kind of confident in your accomplishments and who you are, then you're more willing to share information, and just like you're just more confident and reassured in yourself.
So
Yeah. That's actually something I've heard time and time again. It's always the guys at the top that are, there's no egos and they're just lovely people. It's more so, not all, but some of the guys in the middle that tend to have the egos and are a bit kind of drama queens and stuff like that.
I think it's, I guess, the closer two bands are to the same quote level, the more likely there is to be some kind of butting heads, because there's only a certain number of quote spots in the heavy music scene, and a lot of bands are fighting for the same spots. Now that doesn't mean that you are like against other bands. That's not the mentality you should have whatsoever, because everybody's on the same goal and they should be on the same wavelength. But that is just one of those kind of little microcosms you might see.
Yeah, true. Now, I can't wait to hear this. For any listeners that haven't caught one of your shows, what can they expect?
They can expect a high energy performance that will be very captivating. And I feel confident saying that because we put a great level of thought into the details, but also the big picture. And I think that it's impossible to be bored during one of our shows. It's just not possible. So I think everybody that's in the audience is there in one moment, all together, focused on the same thing, and you can definitely feel it, and it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And how do you work on perfecting your stage show and your stage presence?
Well, we have like multiple phases to our rehearsal. And I guess not to go into too much detail, but you've heard people say in an orchestra, practice is for learning your parts, rehearsal is for learning everybody else's parts. Now, since we already have the song done, that's not the case. Everybody should know everybody's part coming in. So then it's just about taking that next step, making sure everybody's playing it exactly as it should be played, making sure that, the 3-stringed instruments, 2 or 3 depending, are like doing the same hammer-on, slides, everything. So that's kind of phase 1, making sure it's super perfect. Phase 2 is more about the physical performance. So like making sure headbanging is synchronized, planning out kind of like movements across the stage, things like that. And then, stage 3, we will go to a warehouse actually at our gym because we're friends with the owner. And we rehearse there. So we film those rehearsals kind of like a sports team, watch them back, listen back, and just make sure everything is on point.
Geez, that's I haven't heard many bands saying to do that, especially recording it and watching it back. I like that now. It shows how dedicated you are.
Thank you. Yeah, that part can be a little bit not fun. I guess probably mostly for me because, I can't sing the songs as much as you can play the songs just because, your voice is a physical instrument, right? Or rather, part of your body, I should say. It's not a physical instrument. So yeah, I can't, practice them all the time. So sometimes I'll like hear it in that kind of stage of rehearsal, and I'll be like, oh boy, that's bad. And I'll have to go back and practice and make sure that everything is up to par. But that's why that stage is so crucial, because you hear things that you just can't really hear in the practice room.
Yeah. And when it comes to touring overseas, then, most European bands, in fact, bands from any other country, I suppose, their target is to get to America and play in America. As an American band, how do you approach, playing overseas? How do you view it?
Well, we've only played overseas once in Europe on a tour, which was about like 14 shows. And then we did 7 shows in South America. And both very different experiences from each other and from US. So on Europe, it was our first time on a tour bus with another band. And it was pretty sick, but it's just different traveling when you don't got any windows and you don't know when you can stop. But it's definitely, playing Europe was quite fantastic. It was 2018 when we did that. And we are excited to do it again because the crowds there are always big and people love metal there. And which is also very similar to South America. We played a bunch of shows in Brazil, Argentina, and Chile. And the difference there was we flew between every show. And that was definitely, we'd all collectively say, our favorite tour that we've done. And
that was unmatched.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The crowds were all huge. There were people waiting at the airports, at the venues, at the hotels.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even know where we were going to be like staying or where the airports were. Like we didn't know all these details, but somehow fans showed up and were there. And it was awesome because, in the United States, you'll have fans of the band. And if there's like a restaurant next door or whatever, like that kind of thing happens all the time. But everybody there, even if they know us, are just like way more like, hey, how are you? Very understated, like very excited for the show. But like that kind of thing, it's like more kept at a distance. Whereas the fans in South America were like, which is awesome.
Jeez, I suppose at the same time though, it can be a bit scary when they're kind of over the top like that.
No, I wouldn't say it's scary. It's more just exciting. Yeah,
definitely.
It feels good.
Yeah. And out of the gigs you've played then, is there one that, you could pinpoint and say was perfect, that it's almost the gig that has made you?
What was that show that Aline came to in South America?
Sao Paulo in South America.
That was pretty good.
It's hard to say one gig made us, but definitely that show and that whole tour sticks out, and we did feel as if we were like truly well known, and felt like everyone knew our songs and was there for our music, and that was just quite a fantastic feeling.
Yeah. So I'd say any one of those shows in South America.
And I always say you have to have the good with the bad. So you can use any gig from when you first start playing. Is there an experience you had that maybe just wasn't going right, and how did you deal with it?
Oh, we've had tons of those. So yeah, but yeah, we played almost somewhere around 300 shows. I'm not sure the exact number, but of course, you're gonna have plenty of gigs that where there's problems, but I don't view that as a bad thing whatsoever, because like we talked about before, those are all just learning experiences. So we've gotten all the bad gigs out of the way. So if you come see Uncured now, it's going to be on top of our game. I promise you that. Regardless of anything, we'll be on top of our game.
And also, just since probably for the listeners that are curious, we've had all things happen, from like a broken string, broken snare drum, to all the power going out in the venue.
So all of our gear is run off of one unit, right? So we had that one unit plugged into one Einstein in the wall, like where you plug in something.
Einstein?
Yeah, it's called Einstein.
I didn't know that.
Like an IEC, Einstein plug. Anyway, that one circuit blew. So everything shuts off, and the only thing that still was coming through the PA was drums. So we had a little drum solo action.
And there was even a time where I thought my Axe FX was having an issue.
No, don't tell this story. You're gonna look like me.
So it's like my Axe FX was having an issue, but this was the one time we had to switch where we were standing on stage because there was like stuff in the way. And I thought we switched our Axe effects, but then we switched them back. So anyway, I ended up turning off his Axe effects, and mine wasn't working. Because mine wasn't working. So then it was just drums and basses. Like, jeez, that was rough.
I remember I was doing vocals at this time, I believe, and I was playing at the same time. So I hear Zach's guitar cuts out because we have everything monitored in our in-ears. And I was like, okay, Zach's gonna go fix it. I see him, and then I was like, wait, what is he doing? That's my. Oh no! And he turns it off, and
we switched sides. We switched the Axe effects back and forth, and then I just turned off the one.
That I remember because you did look like absolutely bamboozled.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but all those things, like, you don't. If you just go see a band stand there and play a perfect set, that's cool and all, but it's also there's other things that make it memorable, like what happens in between songs. Or if there's like a weird mistake, that's like, I don't know how that happened. And it's all about, like, the live show is all about the fun and the experience of it, not just like something perfect and regimented. Like, there's obviously going to be things that come up, and we're going to fix them on the fly and still put on a great show. But sometimes, funny and weird stuff just happens and you go with it.
Yeah, well said.
That's something I'm always saying. Nobody goes to a show to hear a perfect recreation of a CD or Spotify. You want the little imperfections and the laughs and the jokes,
Well, we grew up watching Queen live at Wembley Stadium, and I remember one of the things that Freddie Mercury said was, if you just want to hear a perfect rendition of the song, stay home and listen to the record. So, I mean, I'm not sure if he was making a joke, because I think I read that. I didn't hear how he actually said it. But whether it's a joke or not, it's definitely true, because if you do want to hear like a perfect rendition, 100% perfect, listen to the stream the song. But if you want to hear it played like raw live, more powerfully, in my opinion, you hear it live. That being said, though, we do everything we can to make it sound as accurate as possible. So you want to walk that line and make sure that everything is super real and raw, but at the same time as accurate to the recording as possible.
Yeah, true. And when it comes to touring, then, if there's anything you can tell us, what antics do you guys get up to? Any wild trashing hotel rooms and stuff like that?
We don't trash anything. If anything, we leave it cleaner than we found it, because we all have a touch of like OCD when it comes to that kind of thing. So everything is very pristine and clean. No, as far as antics, no. I mean, sometimes other people cause trouble, but I think of us as kind of like, we resolve it, because
we definitely don't cause antics. We work hard, we're professional, and we just try to like get a good workout in when we have free time or an off day. And
I mean, there's been a handful of times where people like want to start something with us, but in my opinion, we're above that, so we just de-escalate. I mean, it's different if somebody like were to cross the line, but people just like to get up to that line because it's a bad idea to cross it.
Yeah, I getcha. And when you're getting ready for a show, what's your pre-show ritual? and your post-show ritual? How do you kind of psych yourself up, and then how do you wind down?
Talk about our post. I'll do a little bit of both. Yeah, so pre-show, like I always warm up guitar for as much as I can, but also frequently if there's bands before us and the doors are open, I'd be selling some merch, and then I'd need to go sneak out to the van to get changed into my stage gear. But then I need to squeeze in warming up guitar and vocals. So there's definitely a lot of things to do, but we all always meet up side stage like 10 minutes before. And because everyone has their own warm up and things that they need to take care of. But we all do that warm up, get changed, and we got to meet side stage like 10 minutes before to get ready.
I actually start prepping about an hour, 40 minutes prior to we actually get on stage. So we have that 10 minutes beforehand. So that's the 10 accounted for. And then it's an hour 30 from that. So I like to warm up my voice and then kind of like just let it be as it is and not really talk that much for like 20 to 30 minutes. Where a lot of times I'll like jump rope or something, like jump rope, shadow box, something kind of like bouncy and light. Yeah. And then I'll, get into my stage clothes, kind of make sure my voice is in check. I'll check it, warm up guitar, kind of like walk around like part of the venue, just kind of see what's going on. And then, basically just get into the right mindset to kill it regardless.
That's right.
Yeah.
And after the show, we frequently look back at videos from it. Like we were saying earlier, from rehearsal, like a pro sports team would look back at the videos, their plays, their mistakes, what they did well, and we like look at what looks good visually in terms of headbanging and performance, and also what doesn't look good, and we try to fix things and make sure we improve it for the next night.
Make sure that all the talking between songs is
Smooth,
is logical
clean,
and not a disaster.
Make sure you're making sense. And how do you guys measure success then when it comes to music?
So I view it in two separate ways. So we have a goal as a business because being in a band is running your own business. So in that aspect, we want to be the biggest band in the world. That's our goal, right? Obviously very lofty, but I think it's conceivable, but we have steps along the way that like every time you hit another marker of business success, that's a celebration, right? So it's not set too high in the sense that you can't like appreciate the little things. But as far as like our lives and I guess personal fulfillment, it's pretty great. Like I feel like in that sense, it's already kind of a success because we do what we love, and we get to do it together, so it's awesome.
Brilliant. And I love getting this insight. In 30 or 40 years' time, you're at the end of your career. You're probably playing gigs in the nursing homes. What needs to have happened for you to feel
40?
fulfilled?
Well, 40. So 40 I'd be years. 64.
I would be 62. Oh no, I'm going to be so full of energy. 62.
Yeah,
I don't accept that.
The goal is to be like where Metallica is now, because I'm guessing they're around their 60s, and that's still 40 years from now is a long time, and we plan to keep pursuing this, and keep working hard, and hopefully we'll have some good amount of success because that's the end goal. And we just want to be able to have be able to tour full time, gain fans all over the world, and be able to, headline any city, any country.
Sounds like a solid plan. And before we dive into the last couple of questions, then, what are your future plans? Tell us about the My Design EP and any tours coming up.
So we have a couple of tours in the works, but how that game goes, but can't talk about it until it's announced. But we are playing those two festivals.
Yes, we have Welcome to Rockville in May and Inkcarceration in July. And we do plan to have shows going into and out of those with other bands on those bills. And that's all in the works right now. And for the second half of the year, I suspect we'll be quite busy as well. But still, details need to be finalized.
I know you can't say anything now, but can European fans maybe get a little bit excited?
Well, we're
You know what? I'm not sure. Yeah, I get excited for all the stuff on Spotify and YouTube.
yeah. I believe that we're going to be staying in U.S. and Canada primarily. So there's a chance in the second half of this year, European fans. But that's why I don't want to say get excited now because
Yeah.
shorter. So.
And we'll dive into the last couple of questions. So everybody gets these, I'm afraid. So you can't get off the podcast till you answer. If you could see any performer from history for one night only in concert, who would it be?
Well, that's easy. Yeah.
What, do you want to go?
No, remember last time we had the same answer?
Oh yeah. It would be a Queen, and remember we already talked about it at Wembley Stadium. That's just so iconic, such an iconic stadium and concert. Not to mention Queen, one of the biggest bands ever. That would be one for the books.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually a very common answer. Lots and lots of people say that. The next one, so if you had to spend 24 hours locked inside a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
Well, I already do spend 24 hours locked in a room.
I haven't thought about that.
From history. I've not thought about that, but I would probably want to spend those 24 hours with that songwriter you were talking about, who has all those number ones. That would be the most
a good one. Yeah. And the final one. So, what song would appear on the soundtrack to your life?
Soundtrack. Was it one of our songs, or is like
can be anything?
It's not released yet. Soundtrack of our life.
I mean, this at the moment, since we just downloaded Let's Break Out onto our phones, it's the first thing that plays when we get in the car automatically. So it's currently been the soundtrack, even though not intentionally, but we've been hearing that song a lot.
Yeah, we've heard that song a lot.
We've rehearsed it a lot. But like, if you're talking like favorite songs by other bands, I would put some Motionless in White songs up there, like Disguise and Werewolf, one of their new ones.
I think I'd probably pick like
You can't think of a song?
No, I can't. There's a lot to choose from.
Name one song.
I would do Dangerous by Morgan Wallen. That's what I would want it to be.
Right. Perfect. Listen, guys, it's been an absolute blast now. I've really enjoyed chatting to you.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is DJ JC, and I'm one of the DJs over at Super Cool Radio. I host a 1-hour metal show called The Brutal Block. We have new episodes every Tuesday, dropping at noon. So if heavy metal music is something that you're into, then make your way over to The Brutal Block. Throw up the horns, and let's get rockin'!
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. And if you're interested in signing up to Band Builder Academy, use the link in the show notes below and enter the code CONCERTS and you'll receive 10% off. So, until next time, keep rockin'. Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here. Bye.